Would you believe me if I told you that this is forest management in action? Stick with us to see all the ways wood is found in our daily lives. But first, let's head into the outdoors. I'm here in the Northern Highland American Legion State Forest to learn more about forests. This is Heather. She's Chief State Forester for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Come on. Hey Heather, maybe you can help us out a bit. What exactly is forest management?
A lot goes into managing a forest, from data collection to planning, and then we want to make sure that we're doing the right practices with the right type of forest.
What happened here?
We recently did a cut because we had non-native trees growing here, and forest management is a lot like gardening. Sometimes you have weeds that you need to pull out. Just like in a forest, we may have unhealthy trees or dead trees that we need to remove to make room for the healthy trees.
I thought we were supposed to plant trees, not cut them down.
There are a lot of things that we can do to make sure that we're sustainably managing our forests. So doing periodic cuts and managing it for multi-purposes is really important for the future. We make sure that we're addressing wildlife concerns, soil concerns, we're protecting our water, and then we also have additional requirements through best management practice guidelines, as well as forest certification that make sure that we are practicing sustainable forestry.
Sounds like there's still a lot to learn about how people rely on trees. I think I know exactly who to talk to next. Thanks, Heather. So, Jim, this forest is preserved, but it's also harvested?
Sure, responsible harvest helps the forest, but where we're standing on this railroad grade is the line between a managed forest and a state natural area. There's over 400,000 acres of these natural areas that are left alone, and we can go and explore and see how trees develop in the long term with old growth forests. In the 15th, 16th century, all the boats they needed to go out and explore over the oceans, and they find the Western Hemisphere, they were so excited because they found these amazing forests with towering trees outside of the fur trade. That was the most important discovery. All of this material here is used for 1,000 different things. In the pioneer days, they would make their wagons, and then they would make the wheels with hardwood, like oak, so they could take their wagons to different places. Then they would also cut lumber and send it down to the city.
Our history with wood is a long one, and with that comes a long evolution of forest management practices. There's a wide variety of management methods used for different types of forests, and some of these practices have been used for hundreds of years. The Menominee tribe is well known for their forest management practices. In fact, their forests are so healthy, they can even be seen from space. Let's meet up with Doug to learn more about how the Menominee continue to use their forests today.
We're known for the sustainable management practice. We like to call it sustained yield management. It's basically selectively thinning the forest. It's about 15-year cycles that allows the forest to regenerate fully before we ever revisit that compartment again. The total volume on the forest today is higher than it was when we first started managing the forest. So we've grown more trees since we started managing than we've cut. The reason that Menominee picked this spot, in part because of the Wolf River and this type of forest, was similar to what we occupied throughout our history. So our federal status as a tribe, as Native people, Native Americans, was taken away from us. That battle lasted about 18 years before we were able to be restored. In our stories and our legends, there's a lot of learning, and that had a lot to do with caring for the land and being part of the land that we're going to care for. The health of the forest is really the health of the people. It's important. We were using wood for all sorts of things, like for our shelters, our longhouses, our ceremonial buildings, canoes. That's our transportation. We made canoes to travel up and down these rivers and on the lakes to harvest fish. Ash baskets. Menominee basically means, in Algonquin language, people of the rice. So when we gathered that rice historically, we had baskets. The other part was the spiritual part, and that spiritual part was ceremony. And today, we still do those things, and that forest is critical to that. Some ceremonies we couldn't have if the forest wasn't there. We need to keep this for our future generations.
I'm here at the Aldo Leopold Foundation to meet up with my buddy, Buddy. He's gonna show us around. Let's go. So, who is Aldo Leopold and why does he have a whole foundation?
Great question, Emma. Aldo Leopold is credited for being one of the people who helped create the whole conservation movement, one of our earliest environmentalists. And he was a professor at University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he taught classes on wildlife and forestry. He loved wood. He loved trees, and he loved turning trees into things that made life better.
Wood is really important because we use it for things like houses and tools. But trees are important too. How can you use wood and still care for trees?
We have to take care of our natural forests, and we have to plant new forests so that we have trees that grow big enough that we can harvest and then make things out of them. This whole Leopold Center is built out of trees that the Leopold family planted in the 30s and 40s. They planted thousands of pine trees, white pines and red pines. Should we go take a closer look?
Yes.
Let's do it. Emma, this is the Leopold shack where they would come up and spend their weekends while they were planting trees out here. And they would hang out here, but the real action was outside. Let's go look at more trees they planted. Well, we're walking through the Leopold pines. Let's see what you remember. What kind of pine tree is that?
That's a red pine, just like those.
That's right, you got it. In this area, we're managing the Leopold pines as a woodland. This is, again, where trees came out of to be used to build the Leopold Center. But if you look out this way, that is an area we're managing for wildlife. So we're managing that as a savanna. We use the same kind of forestry practices, but our goal is to have fewer trees out there than over here.
Well, how can we harvest trees in a way that's good for us and nature?
That's a great question. A lot of people don't understand that sometimes forests are actually healthier when we do some timber harvest. These are an example. These red pines need to be thinned every once in a while for the remaining trees to be healthy and strong and vigorous. So that's our challenge for conservation, is to have the right habitat in the right place and ensure that we have forest products that we need to live, but also wildlife habitats so we have the beauty of all those wild species to be part of our community. And that's exactly what Aldo Leopold was trying to get at with his land ethic. He was trying to help us all understand that we're all in this together. We're all part of the community. The bees and the trees and the flora and the fauna, you and me, we're all in it together.
Now that we know how wood can be harvested and used sustainably, let's take a look at how this becomes all this.
We're at Cret Lumber, a hardwood sawmill in north central Wisconsin. I'm going to walk you through the process of taking logs that are from the forest through a sustainable timber harvest that are milled into lumber that is used in finished goods in your home or in your daily lives. The log yard is where they sort the logs coming in. You can see behind me that they have a log truck that is dropping off a load that recently was picked up at a timber sale. As we're entering the sawmill here, this is the first piece of the equipment at the sawmill. It's called the debarker, and it removes the bark off the logs as they enter into the sawmill operation. As we move into the sawmill, we come to the head saw. This is where the log that is round, that is made into a square cant by removing the outer part of the log called the slab wood. This is the green chain where the lumber comes off the grading line and is sorted by grade and width and length of the board. This area is where the kiln-dried lumber comes to be planed, sorted, and graded to be shipped off to the customer. This is the last step of the sawmill, but the first step of becoming a product. A lot of people think that the wood products that we have here in the United States come from outside the United States, but that's not true.
Deforestation occurs when people want to turn forested land into something else, like a field for agriculture or a neighborhood. Forest management is the opposite of that. Forest management protects forests so they can stay a forest, but it also allows us to sustainably use them as a resource.
We manufacture a lot of our products locally here through either hardwood forests or softwood forests, and there's different uses for each of those. Hardwoods can be used for furniture, cabinets, flooring, and softwoods are primarily used for construction products that build your homes with. We use a lot of wood and forest products in our daily lives. The average person uses a 100-foot tree throughout a year.
Each kind of tree has characteristics that make it different from other trees. This makes it useful for many types of products. White ash is strong and good for building products. Cedar has a slow rate of decay and resists insects, so that's why you see it used often for outdoor decks and fences. And black walnut is hard and often looks beautiful, so you find it used for furniture and veneer. Wood can be used to create so many products. Let's take a look at some you might recognize. Processed lumber from sawmills is sent off to other production facilities, like Whitmer Furniture, where it can be turned into products like dressers, chairs, and tables. This lumber is analyzed with laser technology. Then each piece is cut to the right length, depth, and thickness before being shaped into the proper piece of the puzzle. When you think of a forest product, your first thought might be paper. But paper products go a lot deeper than just notebooks. At Alstrom, they turn wood into a variety of paper products that you might not even realize are paper. First, they cook wood chips in water and turn them into a pulp. This pulp is then mixed with other ingredients to make different grades and colors of paper. All these different papers can be used for things like shipping materials, food packaging, tape, and even paper straws. What's even cooler is that Wisconsin continues to be the #1 paper and pulping producing state in the nation. That's a lot of paper. One last example. Veneer is a thin slice of wood that is often used as a decorative finish on a product. However, at Great Lakes Veneer, they're taking it a step further. They stack and glue veneer sheets together to create different shapes and forms that are used for things like guitar necks, piano parts, flooring, and even skateboards. Pretty cool, right? Great Lakes Veneer also makes billets that are used to create baseball bats for the pros. There you have it. Wood is great for making all kinds of things, from furniture to instruments and even sports equipment. Now that's what I call a home run.
With sustainable forest management, carbon is taken into that tree over the lifetime of the tree through the atmosphere and photosynthesis as the tree grows. When the tree needs to come down due to some sort of harvest or death or disease, that wood where that carbon is stored can be further stored in a wood product for that life of that product.
Sustainable forestry makes using wood not only okay, but preferred. By managing our forests for multiple uses, we can help the environment, protect wildlife habitats, and sustainably harvest trees for use in forest products. Using forest products can reduce the use and environmental impacts of non-renewable materials like plastics, concrete, and mined metals. Oh boy, there's more to this forest product stuff than I thought. I need to call in some backup to help cover all these cool uses for wood.
Hello?
Sam, I need your help.
I've got you covered. I'm here at Tree Purpose of Eau Claire to see how Tim made a career out of woodworking one-of-a-kind designs for homes, businesses, and even parks. Hey Tim, this is a cool space you got here. How long have you been working with wood for?
Man, it's been about 40 years I've been working with wood.
How can wood be used for design, function, and art?
You can make just about anything out of wood, and the only thing that is limited is your imagination. So if you can dream something up, typically you can fashion it out of wood. It's also structurally sound. Most houses that are built from wood.
Where do you get all the wood?
A lot of the wood I use is urban wood, which comes from the city of Eau Claire.
What is urban wood?
Urban wood is any tree really that grows inside of the city limits. So that might be a backyard tree or trees along the boulevard or sidewalks or in the city parks.
Why might urban wood be harvested?
Ironically, the way I got into using urban wood was several years ago, the emerald ash borer started to come through Wisconsin, and the people in Eau Claire, in the city of Eau Claire, came together and they wanted to find a good solution on how to use this wood for kind of higher purposes because a lot of times other municipalities were cutting these trees down and then putting them in landfills or just chipping them up. And so they called people like me in to see if I was interested, and then I started to build things from them and put them back into the city. I recently created a piece that's a sculpture, and it's downtown in Eau Claire, and it's honoring moms, and the exhibit is called Motherly. And with that, I created a 21-foot wingspan bird that is hanging from the ceiling there over a beautiful nest that a friend of mine built.
And how does using wood as material connect you with nature?
In addition to just physically handling it, I kind of see it as honoring nature in a way. Unfortunately, trees die, and that's just a reality. The good news is they're sustainable, so they grow back. But a great way to honor them is to make something out of them and put it out into the community.
There's a lot of ways we can use forest products that are good for people and good for the planet. But what about good for the soul? Art is a great way to connect with yourself and with nature. It can be your muse or your tools. Let's see how this artist transforms something like this into art. Hi, Roberta, I'm Emma.
Hi, Emma, nice to meet you. Are you ready to make a basket?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
How long have you been an artist?
All my life. I started drawing when I was 6, and I just never stopped.
How did you start making baskets?
We learned from our elders, and we just passed things along hand to hand. People have been using pine needles and making baskets as long as the trees and man have been together. It's a skill that's been around forever.
Where do you get your inspiration?
I get inspiration from the world. I feel that it always just grounds me to be around nature. It feels good. The art that I do reflects that.
Why is it important to connect with nature?
We're all dependent on the earth, so if we didn't consider nature, what would we have? I think you wanna just add a few more needles.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
As you can see, forest products can be used for a variety of different products and hobbies. But what if your hobby is woodworking? We're here, well, I'm here at St. Maud's, a makerspace in northern Wisconsin where...
Whoa, sorry I'm late.
Oh, hey.
All right, go ahead and tell them what we're doing.
Well, we're here at St. Maud's, a makerspace in northern Wisconsin where we're gonna be learning how to make a Leopold bench. Let's go! Hey, Carl.
Hi.
Hey guys, welcome back.
So why is it called a Leopold bench?
So this was a bench that was designed by Aldo Leopold. He made a bunch of them for himself in his cabin in Wisconsin. He was a naturalist and a conservationist, so he's well known for those things, but he's also known for this bench.
We know all about him.
You guys want to see how to make one from scratch?
For sure.
Yes.
Right.
Well, how long have you been woodworking?
I've been woodworking professionally almost 20 years.
Why did you decide to open up this place for woodworking?
Mostly I wanted to create a space that the community could use. I'd recently moved back to my hometown here, and I wanted to make somewhere where people that don't own all this equipment and have the resources for all this could come in and learn how to build stuff too. So the first things we're gonna do today is we're gonna measure and mark our pieces, and then we're gonna do some what we call milling.
Carl helped us follow the instructions for building an Aldo Leopold bench. We started by marking the measurements for the seat and backrest. Next, Carl showed us how to use the old-fashioned hand tools to saw the boards to size. It was harder than it looks, so Carl gave us a hand, and then I finished it off. Hand tools are cool, but they take a lot longer to use, so we cut the rest of the boards with a handsaw. We cut the back part of the bench and then the legs. Carl did some of the trickier angle cuts. Then we sanded and planed the boards to make them smooth before drilling some holes and assembling the bench. Of course, no piece of art is complete until you sign your name.
And there you have it.
An Aldo Leopold bench.
Community workspaces are a great place to practice your skills, but lots of students are introduced to woodworking through the school's Tech Ed program. So let's take a look at how this school introduces their students to all aspects of wood, from hands-on to getting up close and personal, where it all starts. Let's go. What kind of woodshop classes are taught here?
Well, we have Woods 1, Woods 2. We also do some building trades classes.
What skills are these students learning?
Students are using a lot of woodworking skills in geometry and construction class.
A lot of schools now are cutting their tech ed classes. And why do you think they should keep them around?
Not only are you gaining skills that you can use in your daily life and in your personal life, but they also apply in industry as well. So we have a lot of business and industry that rely on students having these skills.
What type of projects do these students do?
They're going to be making cutting boards, they're going to be making end tables. But beyond that, we're going to get into some projects that are quite a bit more complex.
Where do you get all the wood from to do all these projects?
So we have, I guess, maybe two main sources. One is the Parks Department of Wausau, so we'll get a lot of the logs that they're cutting down every day. So it's trees that might be damaged, trees that might be diseased.
He's talking about urban wood.
The other place that we get a lot of our wood from is our own school forest. We have several hundred acres full of oak, full of pine, full of some other species, and so we're able to use a lot of that lumber that would otherwise go to pulp.
The school forest here in Wausau, all of the trees on the property were planted by students in the 1940s and 50s, thus making the forest we have here. And then working with forest managers and foresters, we have came up with a forest management plan to help make this forest there for future generations to come.
What type of stuff do your students learn here?
We try to teach as much as we can about the outdoors and the environment, wildlife, outdoor recreation, and let them enjoy the outdoors as much as possible. Matter of fact, today our students here at the Wausau School Forest are doing a stream study, trying to look at the health of our environment by testing our water and testing to see what biological characteristics are in the stream, like what's living in that stream.
Why is it important for people to learn about the forest and how they work?
Well, we all rely on forests each and every day. Forests provide us so many different resources, from food to homes for our wildlife, building materials for all of us to use each and every day.
And what role do the trees play in this ecosystem?
The trees play a vital role in providing shade to keep the water temperature down in our streams, which I try to convey to the kids. Plus, they also provide erosion prevention and filtration for any pollution that does enter our forest and our fields to kind of keep our waterways healthier.
And what makes wood a more environmentally friendly resource?
Well, the fact that it's sustainable and renewable is very important. Plus, the decomposition rate. When wood isn't being recycled or reused, it does decompose versus plastic and other building materials that may take longer or do not decompose at all.
There you have it. Wood is an incredible resource that is used to make so many things. Now let's take a look at what forest products you might find in your very own home.
Looks like this is the right address. Whoa, now that's what I call a tree house.
More like a house made out of trees. Come on, I'll show you inside. And this is my house. Oh, and this is my dad. He builds log cabins for a living.
That's so cool. How did you get into that?
It all kind of started when I was a kid. We had a family friend that had a log building, and I was always really fascinated with how it was put together. And ever since then, I kind of gravitated towards building with logs.
How many trees did it take to build this whole house?
This house took about 60 pine trees.
Where did you get all the trees?
So we get trees as local as possible. I work with loggers and foresters.
So why do you like building homes out of trees?
What I like is the simplicity of being able to go into the forest, cut the trees down, use them in their most natural form. We shape them using hand tools only, and I think it really gives you a good connection with nature.
It looks like everything here is made of trees.
Well, not quite everything, but a lot of it.
Hey, do you guys want to play a game?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see which one of you two can find the most products in this house that is made from the forest. Here, I have 2 notebooks. I'm gonna set a timer. You guys come back in 5 minutes with a list of everything you found.
Hey, sounds amazing.
Okay, ready, go.
Chips are our first product, right?
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, let's see what you got here. Okay, okay. Emma. Oh my gosh. And the winner is Emma.
Good game. I never realized just how much we rely on the forest for things we use every day.
Not to mention everything going on behind the scenes too, like the stuff we forget about, like how forest products are used for shipping, energy, and even candy wrappers.
And you can't forget about all that stored carbon.
Now try to remember all the ways forests benefit you the next time you're playing your guitar, reading a book, or anytime you head
into the outdoors.
The following organizations have provided funding for this Into the Outdoors television series.
Wood is neat. But we can do it again. Wood is cool. We do one more, but yeah, it seems like wood is pretty cool.
Perfect.
There you
Okay,